This is Herschel36 on Truth is Stranger Than Fiction. And David, would you be kind enough to introduce yourself to the European audience who I swear do not know your work yet?
My name's David Weiss. I woke up a bunch of years ago. I witnessed the towers fall in parentheses, from my shoreline in Connecticut. And that day, I knew something was wrong with the world. And I went on quite a truth journey for years. And, 9/11 was my big thing. And then Sandy Hook, Boston bombing, through a whole levy of other hoaxes. And then we come across the flat Earth. Which I
Let's
discovered.
not go there, man.
You don't want to go there?
Not yet. Just hold on. So, is that a New York accent I can hear?
Well, I can't hear it, but probably is.
Yeah, I think I can. I mean, I've run the New York Marathon, so I spent a little bit of time working in New York for V2 Records, just off Fifth Avenue, and I partied like a monster. But 9/11, I was actually recording in Kentish Town for Map Music for a project called the Van Diemen, and it was on 2 levels, and the top level had my mum's grand piano in it. I was playing the grand piano at around 9 o'clock in the morning after having not really slept much, to be honest with you. And the TV, they had a big screen. And boom, there I saw this plane fly into a tower. And I thought, wow, that's...
on TV.
On TV, that's right. And I thought, my goodness.
I saw dinosaurs on TV.
Yeah.
Live ones. I saw them eat a man on TV.
Yeah. I know, man. It's
and
amazing.
By the way, getting back to the accent, I don't think Howard Stern has a New York accent. So,
listen... Most people in the UK don't even, or Europe don't even know who Howard Stern is.
Oh, okay.
You have no
Supposedly
idea.
He has a very strong New York accent. I don't hear it, so you're asking the wrong person.
Well, that's true. So 9/11, when Bin Laden from a cave on dialysis via a mobile phone and a Lenovo PC, he orchestrated possibly the greatest crime the world has ever seen against the most highly defended country in the universe. And we'll get to that point a bit later on, the universe, because I know it's tricky. But clearly, you and I will both say, what a load of arse that story is. So what is your take? So were you in New York on the day?
I'm right on the border of New York City, about 25 minutes driving. I was packing my bags to head to LaGuardia Airport to fly to Ohio. And that's when it all started coming down. So right after they showed us the second tower being hit by an airplane, quotation marks, I decided to go down to the shoreline and watch it from there rather than the garbage they were delivering us on CNN. And I had a completely different view of what they showed on TV, although it was a little in the distance. 9/11 was a complete media deception, and half of the 9/11 truth movement is part of that deception.
That's why your website is called deepinsidetherabbithole.com, isn't it?
Yes, there's so many rabbit holes, and once you start going down, it's endless. Every time I think this is it, I figured it all out, it just gets deeper and deeper.
And the point about the rabbit hole is there's many tunnels in the rabbit hole. So you and I, one of us could possibly be a shill.
Sure, anything's possible.
Yeah, well, it's not me.
Yeah. I've been accused of everything, but if anyone that takes the time to look into what I've done, who I am, you'll know that I'm not a shill. The problem with big subjects like 9/11, and these other big hoaxes, is it's not something that you can just learn inside of 144 characters like Twitter. I call it the Twitter mentality. You have to take the time and really look into these things to deprogram yourself from the propaganda that the mainstream media has jammed down our throats our entire lives. We're pre-programmed for 9/11 before it happened.
That's right.
And it's very difficult to get people to take the time to see it because, one, people don't like being told that they were fooled. It's easy to fool someone. It's harder to convince them they've been fooled. And people don't like that kind of change. So they will do anything not to face it, including absolutely ridiculous forms of denial.
Herschel 36, I'm working on a brand new album. The best is yet to come. It's political electro punk. Click here, like and share. Yep, it's very difficult, right? I'm dating a girl at the moment, and she's completely oblivious to anything that isn't mainstream. Okay, so the BBC goes on first thing in the morning, and at night, 10 o'clock at night, the BBC News comes on, and that's the start and the end of the programming. Personally, I've got rid of my TV. I don't have one, right? But I do try. It's lovely to have female company, as we both agree, and I do try to live in the world, but it can be very, very difficult because not only was 9/11 a lie, but the entire construct is one big farce.
Yeah, people often ask me on my podcast, is there anything that's not a conspiracy? And I'm almost to the point where it's hard to find anything. I don't know if you guys know about the airplane that landed on the Hudson River after takeoff, and Sully, the amazing captain, they hit some birds and he landed it on the Hudson River. That's my go-to. I was like, that and Kurt Cobain killing himself are not conspiracies. And then recently, I just found out that Kurt Cobain didn't kill himself and he was murdered.
Really?
Yeah. And the only reason I didn't know is because I didn't look into it. I just believed the mainstream media. But if you look at the evidence, it is clear that he did not do it. And I don't even want to get into it, but I cannot say that that's real.
So what's your position about David Bowie?
That's a tough one. He definitely is in the club. Uh-huh. He knows what's happening. There's so many things in so many of his songs. I recommend, if you really want to look at some stuff, there's a YouTuber called Russian Vids, VIDS.
Yeah, I'm subscribed.
Yeah, he's done a lot of stuff on David Bowie and a lot of other things. It's one of those that I will just I haven't looked into it tremendously, but I will say if you held a gun to my head and said, is he dead or alive, I say he's alive.
I would as well. I've got a radio show in Spain when I'm there on the Costa. To about 1.2 million listeners for the radio station, but I was told on my show to dedicate some tracks to David Bowie, and I was going to say, but aren't you aware that it's a great possibility that Bowie's not dead? It's just one big scam. But you can't go there. I can't go there. They don't want to put out a message to the population here that isn't mainstream, that isn't football, English football, fish and chips, X Factor, and ISIS propaganda. And it's kind of insane, really.
It's amazing, the control system, how they distract us. It's just like the Romans with the Colosseum. It's the same thing here. Sports, alcohol, food, sex, and people don't care.
Well, it's not that they don't care, it's that they don't have the ability to say no, because we're so heavily programmed from the day we were born. Just take Santa Claus as an example. Okay, Santa Claus, we can pretty much all agree doesn't exist. But what about if we take that same analogy to someone like Barack Obama, okay, who's clearly not black, clearly not heterosexual, and his wife is very suspect, I think. You know,
Here we go.
but
Here go to
just
Winky.
say it.
Right there. Look at it.
Michael. Michael. Michelle is Michael.
Michelle's Michael.
And that's it. Michelle is a transgender. It's all part of the transgender movement.
It is.
It's insane. It's insane what's going on, and people just, that's too crazy, and they won't look into it. Before we get off 9/11,
yeah.
I just want to, there's a couple little points. Like my daughter, who's 25 years old, and she knows about all these hoaxes, and she recently, my ex-wife, her mother, brought up 9/11. And ridiculed her for thinking that it was not real. And it was a horrible experience for her, and she wasn't able to defend well enough. And the problem is that people that believe in the 9/11 fairy tale, which is the official story, don't even know what the fairy tale is. Because if you did, you wouldn't believe it. So the Shanksville crash, which a long story, I don't believe it was supposed to crash into Shanksville. I believe Flight 93 was supposed to hit Building 7, fake hit it, but something went wrong with the fakery, so they had to improvise and pretend it crashed in Shanksville. But the official story on Shanksville is that it hit at such a steep angle and so fast that the ground liquefied.
Yeah.
Ground liquefied, swallowing the plane so deep, and then it re-solidified, and it's too deep for them to dig it out. That's the official story.
That is brilliant. I love that story.
And it's still gated off. Nobody can go there. No one can explore. No one can investigate. That's the official story. The official story on the Pentagon is that the plane was flying so fast that the wings folded back into the body, into the fuselage. The tail went into the fuselage. It poked a hole, which is narrower than the diameter of the plane. And then the fire was so hot that the plane vaporized. So we have liquefied land, vaporizing planes. And then there's photographs of desks and books unburnt, but the plane
disappeared. That's right.
It vanished. I mean, that's just the beginning.
Well,
and they're unanswerable questions to the believers.
Can I just add a couple of points? 3 days prior to 9/11, there were around 2,100 put options on the airline stock exchange, right?
Which was like 60 times higher than normal activity, or
that's right. Well, the average in a whole September is roughly about 23. Right? And I referenced this into one of my pep tracks, Herschel 36, Who Got All the Money. I'll stick a link in the description for that particular track. But it's if you follow the money, it's very interesting because Donald Rumsfeld the day before stood up to the world and he said, "Oh, by the way, guys, we've misplaced 2.1 trillion or something." Paraphrase.
0.3.
2. Oh, sorry. Well, you know,
10, 20 billion here. What's the difference?
Exactly. You know, between friends, you know, and it's so easy to lose that kind of money, you know, especially when we're heading into a period of austerity. And of course, what amazes me is the fact that people say that bin Laden flew 2 planes into the Twin Towers, yet 3 towers came down.
So this is where I take it to the next step. I have a video. You should link it in here, and people can find it. Just say, "Forget Building 7, Building 6, the smoking gun" on my YouTube channel, DITRH, which stands for Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. 7 buildings in New York disappeared on 9/11. And most people in America and around 7 buildings. 7 buildings had inexplainable damage. Building 6, I think it's 10 stories tall, substantial building, not next to the towers, but put that on your block where you live. It's a big building. The entire inside of the building down to the basement vanished. It vanished, okay? It's gone, and the outer walls are still up, okay? And you're like, well, even if you dropped a gigantic wrecking ball of that size onto it, it wouldn't be able to cut it out like that, and there would be something at the bottom. There was nothing at the bottom. It vanished. 9/11, when you wake up to, okay, 9/11, the official story is bullshit, you fall into the trap of architects and engineers for 9/11 truth, and they say thermite. They used controlled demolition, and they show Building 7, which people directly across the street from one of the New York Times offices, who's never reported on it to this day. The BBC reported that it fell 23 minutes before it fell.
Yeah.
CNN reported on it before it fell. It's because all these scripts were going out and things were delayed, and a lot of mayhem, and they totally screwed up. But people just don't want to look at it because it's too painful to realize that we've been lied to on such a level.
And the BBC, Sky, ITV News, CNN, MTV, the whole shebang, they're all in it, aren't they? And people will say you're a conspiracy theorist. People tell me, how can they all be in it? But the fact is, they are all in it at a certain level. It's compartmentalized. And so, the reporters and general people who work for those organizations, the corporation, they don't know. But the people right at the top, they're all in it. They're all in it together.
Right. And the reporters, some of them have no idea what's going on, and they're just reporting on news that's fed into their ear, and they're just reading it. Jane Pauley, I think it was, from the BBC, she's just reading a script.
Like Obama does, reads a script. Yeah. That's right. And but of course, she wants to do what she's told, because if you don't get the next gig. Right, that's how it works, and what a great job! What a fantastic job. You're in front of the camera. You get paid great money. You get to travel around the world. You're treated like a star, and it's absolutely too good to turn down, isn't it? For normal people.
For anybody that's just waking up to 9/11 or, is half awake, and there's a lot of people that are half awake, I've broke it down on 5 pages on my website, Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. There's 9/11 intro, there's 9/11 Shanksville, 9/11 directed energy, no planes. You gotta watch all the stuff on the no planes, because no planes crashed anywhere on 9/11.
That's right. There were no planes.
But the biggest argument to that is, what about the millions of people in the streets that saw the airplanes? And the truth is, nobody saw the airplanes.
No, that's right.
Yes, an airplane, it appears an airplane, a very fast airplane, flew right by the towers as they blew up. And I think that was just a distraction, because the people that I've interviewed and that I've seen that are credible, they said, I saw an airplane hit the building. But when you talk to them, they're like, well, I was watching the first building, I heard an airplane, I turned away, and then the building blew up. And they think that the airplane went into the building, but it didn't.
Well, hang on. You were there. Did you see any airplanes?
I did not see. Both towers were on fire when I left my home, so I saw it on TV, which is a bunch of garbage. I mean, it's all video compositing, video layering. There's scenes where you can watch the Verrazano Bridge move like, a mile. It moves. There's buildings that move. Just watch the backgrounds during these scenes, and they're moving all over because the technology that they had wasn't good. The guy that filmed the famous shot where the second plane comes in from the right-hand side of your television screen, he was in the Chopper 5 helicopter. He's the guy that wrote the software, the Avid system software, and teaches the course on, and that program is used to insert aircraft into live video.
Wow.
And he teaches the course on it, and he's the one that filmed it.
Herschel 36, I'm working on a brand new album. The best is yet to come. It's political electro punk. Click here, like and share. Yeah, he also probably got a nice little paycheck on the back end of it. I've got a friend in Europe called Ole Damagard. Ole is a specialist in the...
I know Ole.
Oh, you know Ole, yeah. And he specialises in the false flags that are occurring. We get 3 or 4 a year, don't we, nowadays? The latest being, where was it? Brussels? Paris? Brussels, that's right.
Complete bullcrap.
Absolute balderdash. And... it just amazes me how they can produce this. It's not even a soap opera, but they seem to have the same cast going from country to country, the same actors, the same crew, the same policemen. They never go to hospitals. They always go to a recovery centre somewhere, and it's just endless. But there seems to be a low budget C-rated production team that's producing these escapades in certain cities and countries.
I think they're testing us with these things to see how dumbed down, how well the fluoride and the GMOs and the chemtrails are working, because the stuff that they're pulling off now is laughable. I mean, unbelievable. The Brussels bombing. If you look at it, it's ridiculous. Again, on my website, Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, Brussels bombing page. Take a few hours and go through the videos and the articles there, and if you do, you'll know that it's complete hogwash.
So there's a lot of information on that website, guys. And a tip David gave to me was that you can put the videos on fast forward. That's correct, isn't it, Dave?
Yeah, and on YouTube, there's a little gear on the bottom right, and you could pop it up, and you could go 1.5, to 2.0 speed. So, for a information junkie like myself, I listen to everything at 2.0. Sometimes somebody speaks very fast. I think I speak a little fast because I listen to things fast, and I try to slow myself down. But if as you're listening, if something's a little slow for you, speed it up, makes it more interesting.
Yeah, and also you can get more in less time because there's so much information out there. But it's very difficult to discern between what's good information and what's tripe.
As I say, don't believe anything I say. Just know that you can ask the question and go look for the information yourself. So I've compiled on my website some of the best videos. You watch them yourself, make your own judgments. We're getting stuff from the mainstream media and saying, look, this is what they're telling you. Whether it's a real picture or a fake picture, it doesn't matter. It's baloney, because they're pushing it, and you know that it's fake. So, if it's on the news, if it's on all of the stations, I don't believe it.
That's right. If it goes down the mainstream, I'm very suspicious immediately. If I hear it from the mouth of a presenter on the BBC, then generally speaking, for me, it's tripe. But I've got to be open to reading the mainstream press as well, because that will give me a different angle. And the truth is somewhere in between left and right, somewhere in the middle, but it's certainly not in the middle of the mainstream press. I mean, in the UK, we've got the Daily Mirror, the Sun, the Guardian, the Telegraph, the Times. They're all controlled opposition in a very narrow mainstream media platform that's delivered to the British. The British, I believe, one other nation is possibly the dumbest nation on the planet. Do you get any ideas who the dumbest nation might be, David?
I think it's America.
I think it is the Americans. I'm pretty.
It's unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. Everything that we've been taught is a lie.
Everything.
Like if I had children today, they would be homeschooled. They would never get any vaccine whatsoever. I don't even think I'd have them in the hospital. I guarantee I wouldn't have them in the hospital. I have a couple friends that have kids that were born at home, have no vaccines, are homeschooled, never ever had formula. Just make your own baby food from organic foods. Brightest, smartest, healthiest kids I've ever seen. They're 2 years old, they're talking, they're walking, they're doing all sorts of stuff. And meanwhile, I have friends local that gave their kids the full vaccines, 3 years old, and they need therapy, to walk, and they haven't talked. And I blame it on the vaccines.
Well, the vaccines, the education, the system, it's seemingly, those schools are like prison camps, aren't they? My daughter, who's 12, she's so beautiful, you know, and so full of life. But I see her go through this schooling system, and it's being killed. This natural beauty and energy is being knocked out of her, and you know, because the school system wants the children in a certain format, so they can go into the system, they can work until they're 65 or 70, and then they can retire. And when they retire, they die, and that's the system. But that's not life.
They want you to be a skilled slave, not smart enough to realize that you are a slave.
That's right. And if you are a skilled slave, you will get paid for it, but you'll be paid fiat currency. And if you're a skilled slave, you will not realize that fiat currency has got no inherent value whatsoever.
Right.
Gold and silver, God's money, that's got value. Fiat currency owned and printed by the banks has got no value whatsoever.
Every fiat currency in history has failed, and the American dollar, which is the world dollar, the petrodollar, by force, is gone longer than any other, and it will fail in the very near future.
Yep, it's could be this year actually.
I actually hate putting dates on things because things, you know, can be manipulated. Like every day, our stock market goes down, but 1 p.m. Eastern,
It comes
the
up.
Feds just fake it. They fake it and they push it back up. It's all baloney.
That's right.
You know, and people that bought silver a year ago and it's down. I'm like, no, it's not down. You bought 600 silver coins. Well, guess what? You still have 600 silver coins. They're basing it on a fiat baloney.
That's right.
And so it's still silver.
It's still silver and it's still gold, and precious metals are precious metals. And the global stock markets, the indices, or whatever you want to call them, they are not a representation of how the globe is doing economically. And I say globe with tongue in cheek, but we'll get to that point a little bit later because I know that's where you are. But just going,
okay.
My final point about 9/11 is I did find our friend Sophia Smallstorm's work on 9/11 very
9/11 mysteries.
absolutely brilliant. I mean, you know, that really does lay it out even for the dumbest Englishman. Okay, it's very clear. What water are you drinking? Because water is also another topic. That's a glass bottle.
It's a blue glass bottle that sits on my windowsill to get structured by the light, and I distill my water before I drink it. So I put distilled water in blue bottles, let it get sunlight, and maybe I even swirl it counterclockwise, and I drink it with good intention.
Yeah, because here's the thing about water, guys. If you are buying water in the supermarkets in Europe, I don't know about America, but in Europe, and I've done the test, you are buying acid. You are not buying alkaline water, and your body needs alkaline. It does not want acid. The more acid you have, the more likely you're going to get ill, cancer, etc. Your point.
You can see I have bottled water behind me, but I distill it before I use it. And when I distill the water out of my tap, my distiller gets filled with rocks. And those rocks go into your body and create, you know, gallstones, kidney stones, arthritis, all sorts of stuff. And you cannot get rid of them easily.
That's right.
So, you know, you'll hear stories. Don't drink distilled water. It leaches minerals out of your body. Well, yes, it does leach minerals out of your body, but there's two types. There's organic minerals and inorganic minerals. And the organic minerals your body needs, the inorganic minerals your body cannot use. And those are the things that become, you know, gallstones, kidney stones, arthritis, and whatever. But the distilled water actually leaches the inorganic minerals out. Example, if you have a grass stain on your pants, grass and dirt, or blood and dirt. Let's say you have blood and dirt on your pants and you wash them in distilled water. The dirt will come out, but the blood won't come out because the blood's organic and it will leach the inorganic out.
The only thing I'd say about that bottle behind you is it's a plastic bottle. I'm not sure about the quality of the plastic. However,
It's the It's the better plastic, but still, when I distill it, there's a white residue left in there, which is probably part fluoride, part plastic. And the worst thing you could do is buy distilled water in plastic because it leaches the plastic out even faster.
That's right, and you get things like phthalates, don't you, from the plastic. But the water that we buy in Europe, in the shops, you're spending, let's say you spend €2, €2.50 on a bottle of water. It's been sitting there for months on end. Water's a living organism, and by that time it's dead, right? It's dead water, and it's just seeped in loads of chemicals, and it's no good for you. However, on our website, justfinishitrecords.co.uk, we are actually selling the Kangen water system. Have you come across Kangen water?
Yeah.
What's your opinion
I've heard about it.
What's your opinion on that?
I don't know enough about it, but I've heard good things about it. So right now I have a distiller. I run it every day, makes a gallon, and I just keep stockpiling it. And I drink it pretty regularly. The light going through the blue adds life back to the water. And people are like, that's a little airy-fairy for me. Think about this. Sunlight and water can make organic food grow out of dirt.
That's right.
All right? That's magic. That is absolute magic if you think about it. Dirt. It doesn't get any lower than dirt. And all you need is sunlight and water, and organic food will jump out of the ground. All right?
It's a miracle.
Light. So yeah, it's a miracle. And then here's another lie. Sun gives you cancer. That's false. Sunscreen gives you cancer. Read the ingredients on the sunscreen. You're putting that on the largest organ on your body, and it's soaking in all of this stuff just to block the sun from making vitamin D. Yes, you can go out in the sun and burn your skin. Yes, you can do that if you're out in the sun too long. But guess what? You can freeze. If you go in the cold too long, you'll freeze. If you eat too many cheeseburgers, you'll die. Everything can be abused. I recently went down to the Caribbean with 14 people. Everybody was slathering, 20, 50, all stuff on them. I only used coconut oil with some essential oils mixed in it, and I'm the only one that did not burn. Got the healthiest tan, and all is well.
Well, that's right.
And everybody else burned.
If they're selling it mainstream, I hate to say it, but I've got to question it. I've got to question it for me, and I've got to question it for my children. Yeah. If it's easy and accessible, and it's got a price tag on it, then somebody is winning on the back end. And generally speaking, it's not good for me long term. But and I wanted to ask you this. Okay, so the question I always ask is So if there is a global conspiracy going on that we are kind of skirting around, who is responsible for it? Who are the leading?
Who are they?
Who are they exactly?
Who are they? They isn't Obama. They aren't the people that we see. Those are the puppets of the real world powers that want to be. I call them. Is it the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds? Is it that clan? Is it the Queen of England? The Wahlbergs. Is it the Wahlbergs? Is that the right name?
I think so.
Yeah. Is it them, or is it even above them? I don't even think we know who it is, and they may not be 100% human. To start with.
Well, hang on. Are you suggesting there may be other life forms on this thing that we call planet Earth?
Yeah, absolutely.
We know that there are. Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt, yeah.
We know, there's no doubt.
Yeah,
it's not even a question.
Well, but actually, there is a question, because I've never met anything on the planet apart from animals and humans, right?
So, how do you know?
Well, exactly. But
they walk among us.
As far as I'm aware, well, is it Andrew Carpenter or John Carpenter that did They Live?
Right.
I think it's John Carpenter. John Carpenter. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and if you haven't seen They Live, go and check it out. It's a great little cult movie where a guy puts on a pair of glasses, and lo and behold, he can see who they are. So my question would be: have you had physical or factual evidence that we are on a planet with other beings that are not 100% human.
So, that's a bigger topic.
It is.
Are there other physical beings that are here? I believe so. Have I had knowing physical experience? I don't think so. Are there different levels, dimensions, spiritual beings? Absolutely. Have I had physical or direct experiences? Yes.
Okay, so take me through one experience.
So I don't know what to call them, and I still am not sure what they are, but some people call them shadow people. And many times they've attacked me in my sleep. And not when I'm sleeping, when I'm in bed, before I'm sleeping. And I've had some really scary experiences, but I wasn't scared because I know that I call it the law of free will, that nobody, no thing can do anything to you without your approval. And so I was really analyzing what was going on, but knowing that I'm not giving them approval to whatever it is that they want to do, and then they go away after a couple of minutes sometimes.
Well, it's really interesting. There's a guy called Sam King who believes in soul contracts. That's healingking.com. He's a friend of mine in the UK. And he believes that he has connections with the other side that will tell him what's what and who's who. Okay,
that's nice.
And so he actually has a practice where he heals people for their past lives if they've had contracts in their past lives. Okay, now my experience of this dark entity was when I was a kid. I grew up in a place called Portsmouth, and I went to St John's College, which later in the 90s came out to be a big paedophile ring with the brothers De La Salle, and I was involved on the outskirts of that darkness down on Hayling Island and in Portsmouth. So there are certain things that are going on this planet that are definitely hidden from us. Okay, so my other point would be that we, as a being, as an animal on this planet, we are partially blind, aren't we? We only see a very small spectrum of light.
So we have our 5 physical senses, and that's all that we see because we've been basically cut off from our other senses willingly. We've agreed to it. We've agreed to take the vaccines. We've agreed to drink the fluoride, which calcifies our pineal gland, which disconnects us from our true spirit, and we end up being blind and scared with a low vibration. And that's what they want. They want us to be scared because they feed off of our energy. That's not such a wild concept. People, our fear gives them their power.
Well, that's true. Talking of wild concepts, of course, we are sitting on a round planet, aren't we? And we're hurtling through space at that's 10,000 kilometers per second.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But and there's a solar system. There's a couple of suns somewhere. There's a moon. Have you come across Crow 777?
Yeah, the lunar wave.
The lunar wave. Yeah. So I got into a little bit of strife when Crow came on my radio show and suggested that the moon wasn't the moon, and I said, yeah, I think you're probably right, because here in the Mediterranean, on the south coast, we get the moon and we get the sun, okay, as you know, right? But we get it's right in front of us. It's it's straight over the sea, that horizon, and as you know, on the ball Earth, that there's a dip, isn't there? I don't know what it is. Every kilometre or every mile, it's about 8 inches squared, isn't it? Something like. But let's not go there. So Crow has filmed something called what he perceives to be the lunar wave. He's called it, and it's
he calls it the lunar wave because it appears to be some sort of wave. He's not even saying what it is. He's saying it is, and we need to figure out what it is.
That's right. That's exactly what he's saying. So what do you think it is?
So we're jumping forward here, and I'm trying not to go too far forward.
Yeah.
But There's a video on a great YouTuber's channel called Geo Shifter, one word, and maybe you've seen it, which is the highest amateur rocket shot up in the air from Arizona, and it shoots up and it's spinning around. It goes up 73 miles, I think, is the height, and then all of a sudden, it hits something and stops spinning and stops moving. Did you see it?
No, I haven't seen that.
So
what's it called?
So it's I'll give you the link after, and you can put it in. But the name of the YouTube channel is Geo Shifter, and it's his top video there, and it's the highest amateur rocket. You watch it, and it hits something, but the rocket doesn't break apart. So it's not hitting a rock. It's not hitting glass. It's not hitting something solid. But if you listen to it, because there's sound also, it sounds, looks, and feels similar to water. Okay? And the way it moves afterwards, it's like it's in water. So now, is there water up there? Maybe less dense water, but if you get it, and this is me. Here's where a year ago, as soon as this comes out of someone's mouth, I change the channel. The Bible says, right?
That's when it's over.
I'm over, but the Bible talks about the firmament, where it separates the waters above from the waters below.
That's correct.
And there, when I learned about the nature of our world, I foo-fooed a dome over it. But now that I've done thousands of hours of research, I believe there is some sort of dome, whether it's physical, whether it's energetic, whether it's water. I'm not 100% sure yet, but it's sure evidence is the preponderance of evidence is pointing towards a liquid firmament. And the sun and the moon and the stars are all in that firmament.
So that is pretty out there, right? It is.
Matter of fact, you know what? We're going to touch on this, and then we're going to go somewhere else, and then we can come back.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
So people on Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole on our Facebook page and on my other page, Exposing the Big Three, which is 9/11, Sandy Hook, and Boston, were posting, hey, check this out, the Earth, the flat Earth, the flat Earth, the flat Earth. And I would not watch any of them because my time is very important, and it's ridiculous. Deleted them for 6 months, even banned people from posting because they kept reposting stuff. And then somebody got me to look. It might even have been Sophia. And I literally watched videos and researched for about 22 hours a day for 2 weeks.
That's pretty obsessive.
I would go to the refrigerator holding my computer, and there was no point I would fall asleep with it. I'd wake up and I'd be back into it. And I went into it to debunk this ridiculous notion. And as you guys will learn, if you have the courage to look, it's undebunkable at this point. But I want to talk about another video I made that went kind of viral. It's still going viral. It's got about 10 million hits on Facebook.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well done.
And it's this. You know who this is?
Yeah. That's Gaddafi.
It's Gaddafi.
Yeah.
So
he was a good man.
Do you know that?
Of course. Right? Listen, Hitler wasn't such a bad lad either, and I'll get killed for that. Yeah, exactly.
Well, Hitler's living down in Florida, so don't worry about him.
Is he still alive, Hitler?
I wouldn't be surprised.
No, I wouldn't be surprised
without
either.
getting into Hitler. Everyone's told, I was told in my life, Gaddafi's this evil man. Yep. They beat their people. Just all of these horrible things. And then you see him, they show him on the news, and he looks really evil, right?
Yeah.
He's an evil looking guy. But then when you find out the truth, you realize that's not an evil face. That's I'm friggin' pissed off face.
Yeah.
He knew everything. So when he took over Libya, they were the poorest nation, the poorest part of Africa, the lowest standard of living, and the most uneducated, and the highest homelessness and everything. And he housed everybody. You get when you get married, you get $50,000 towards a new home.
Yep.
Any car that you want to buy, they'll pay for half of it. They were an oil-rich country. So instead of giving it to Exxon, Mobil, and BP, they gave the profits to the people.
That's
they
right.
nationalized it.
That's right.
So they got their money. Gas was 14 cents a gallon. They gave when you had a baby, you got money for that also.
Yeah, there was no debt.
There was no debt. Oh yeah, and he wanted to start selling oil in gold dinar instead of the U.S. Petro fiat dollar.
How dare he?
And now he's dead.
Yeah, he is. Apparently.
Anybody that threatens the petrodollar, as I was saying, is dead. And that's not even. Wait, electricity was free. Oh, education. All education was free. Higher education was free. Grad school was free. All medicine was free. Any procedure you needed, if they couldn't do it in that country, they'd fly you, room and board, airfare, and have it done in another country. Completely paid for.
Plus, he wanted to distribute wealth and water to the rest of Africa.
So that's where I'm going. He discovered, when looking for oil, an ocean, not a reservoir, an ocean of pristine ancient water. And by the way, that gets back to the firmament. If you know anything about primary water, the rain and evaporation, we're told that's how water is distributed around the planet. Now that's secondary water. Primary water is underneath the ground, is underneath the ground. So he found this, and he started the Great Man-Made River, which is the largest hydro project in history. And it took him 40 years. He was piping this water all across Africa. Any family that wanted to start a farm, gave him a house, equipment, seeds, land, equipment, water, everything for free. And they could only do organic farms. So he's about to feed all of Africa. Took him 40 years to finish. And then the U.S. blew it up with depleted uranium bombs.
Well, how dare he want to feed the Africans?
Go on YouTube. It's on my channel, but you can just search the Great Man-Made River, and you'll see this image of Gaddafi and water. It's a 5-minute video. Watch it, show it to your friends, share it, and help people realize that every single thing we've been taught is a lie.
Absolute baloney. You're absolutely right. So the big elephant in the room, one of many, is the likes of Gaddafi. And actually, I hate to say it, Adolf Hitler wasn't that bad a lad. Just wanted to knock out the Rothschilds. That's where my research takes me. But Gaddafi, especially because otherwise I'll get absolutely roasted. Gaddafi was actually a very good man and wanted to help a lot of people in the African continent.
After we attacked Iraq for not having weapons of mass destruction or not having anything to do with 9/11, and Gaddafi spoke at the UN, and what we were shown on the news was just nothing of the truth of what he said. There's a video out, I think I have it linked under my Gaddafi videos, of him at the UN. And he's talking about the atrocities that the Western world is doing, and why he's trying to unite all of the nations that are fighting. I mean, this guy literally he was like Gandhi.
Herschel 36. I'm working on a brand new album. The best is yet to come. It's political electro punk. Click here, like and share. That's right. And he also said in that speech, he said, "Listen, they're coming for me, and don't you think they won't come for you either?"
Right.
Because this is where I swear to you that they get the themes from the James Bond movies. People think they see it in James Bond, so it can't be real. But we do have the big baddie out there, and people, you have to realise. And I'll ask you this, David. Okay, I went. There's a couple of things, right? Because myself and my children were speaking to a family from Libya on a plane back from Turkey last year, and they were talking about when Gaddafi was taken out, and how the country has therefore, after that incident, gone into turmoil. But the other thing is, we went to Ireland. My parents are Irish, or my mother was Irish. She's dead now, gone a long time. Died of cancer. And there's so much to talk about, But anyway, my uncle John, he was talking about Barack Obama, because Barack Barry Sataro Obama was in island a number of years back, and he was claiming that the Obama with the apostrophe had meant that he had a relation to the Irish. Okay, and so John, my uncle, was saying what a good man he is, right? And it just shows that these people, even the majority of my family, are so ingrained in this story. But the reality is, Obama, Cameron, that evil witch in Germany, whatever her name is, I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but they're all puppets. They all work for the banks, and they don't want anything but for us to either be under complete control or even dead.
We are cannon fodder. We're nothing to them. You know, the Clinton crime family, the Bush crime family, they're the biggest drug dealers and murderers on the earth. Anywhere.
Well, that's right. You know, the Bushes and the Clintons have been trafficking drugs for decades, in and out. Afghanistan's got nothing to do with trying to find some geezer with a beard in a cave. It has got to do with opium and location.
Right. The war on drugs is the war on competition for the Clinton and Bush crime families.
That's right. They're taking out the competition. Right. They want to control the supply. Right.
The Taliban had almost gotten rid of all of the poppy fields in Afghanistan. And then when we went over there, we've increased it like 1,800%, you know, and our troops are guarding it there. And, you know, now heroin is all over the place thanks to the U.S., armed forces.
We had something called the Woolwich beheading. Were you aware of that? Did you come across that in the UK a few years back? Where they took a dummy and they chopped off the dummy's head and pretended he was a soldier. Are you aware of that? I can't remember the soldier's name, but these soldiers who go off to Iraq and Afghanistan, and I don't mean to be rude to people who choose that as a service and believe they are supporting.
Right, they have good intentions.
That's right, they do have good intentions.
They're just being used.
They're being used because, as you say, we are fodder. We're fodder for a corporation, and our corporation is the Anglo-American corporation, and it's been going on for years. It used to be called the British India Corporation, I do believe, and they were pumping opium into China, as an example, back in the 18th century. But if you know, we're not taught real history in school. We're taught lie after lie after lie. And the big lie that I was taught was that I live on a round planet, hurtling through space at 10,000 kilometers per second.
It's completely ridiculous when you think about it. But, you know, you're a little kid, you're 2, 3, 4. Hey, you're going to be big enough to go to school. And you're like, yeah, I'm going to be smart. I'm going to go to school. And you go to school and there's the globe. And they're like, you live here. And they show you I have a video of a famous Sesame Street thing that's targeted at like 2 and 3-year-olds where it's programming the ball Earth, the ball moon. It's insidious when you see it. And I remember seeing it as a kid. I remember feeling like I knew it. I knew that one was the Earth. I knew it, you know. The programming that they do is beyond what most people can fathom. And programming the human mind is simpler than people realize.
That's right. It's an organic computer. It's electricity pulses going from one side to the other, and everything that I've ever been taught has been programmed into me to feel less than, to not be able to stand up to the tyranny that's been going on for hundreds and hundreds of years. So, David, what are your top 3 flat Earth you've got to know clues for anybody who's got this far with this interview? You know, they're probably ready to listen to that now.
Bye to all you people that are completely indoctrinated and don't want to look, because condemnation without investigation is the height of ignorance. So hopefully you all hang around, and I am guilty of that for 6 months. It was really being forced at me and I refused to look. You know, the thing is, there's so much evidence. You know, evidence falls into 3 categories: ball Earth and not flat Earth, not ball Earth, or could be either. Okay? Those are the three possible places it could fall. And every single thing I've seen has fallen into flat Earth or could be either. Nothing falls into the ball Earth. So I call that a preponderance of evidence.
Okay. So let me just jump in there. If you are listening to this and you think that David is wrong, please provide evidence that we live on a globe.
Yeah.
Just give me some evidence.
So, by the way, if you can come up with that evidence, there's a lot of money to be made because there's a lot of people out there that are offering money for that. So, I'm going to show you a little. This is the flat Earth. Everything outside of this outer circle is Antarctica. So Antarctica goes in all directions, and this is the shoreline of Antarctica. Okay, this dot in the center, my drawing's really bad, is the North Pole. So in the summer, in the northern hemiplane's summer, the sun goes around the Tropic of Cancer in here, and it takes 24 hours to make a full 360-degree circle. And in the northern hemiplane's winter, the sun goes out to the Tropic of Capricorn and makes bigger circles. Okay, and it makes it around in 24 hours. So what does that tell you? It has to be going faster, right? Because that outer circle, but let's say it's twice as long as the inner circle. If you unwound the circle, so it has to be going faster to keep it at 24 hours. But if it's going faster, that would mean when you're down in the southern hemiplane or out in the southern hemiplane, the sun would go by really fast and it would be night. It would be a short day and a really long night. Okay, but that's not what happens. In the model that I believe is the case, the sun, as it moves out, as it starts going faster, flies higher. So if something flew over your head at 100 miles an hour, at 100 feet in the air, that's a constant. But if it was 500 feet in the air, it would have to be going a lot faster just to look the same. You with me? Mm-hmm. All right. So the sun does this intelligently designed speeding up and raising trick where it negates each other. So you don't know how far something is unless you know how big it is, unless you know how fast it's moving, how big it is or how far it is. So the sun, I also believe, when it goes to the Tropic of Capricorn, gets bigger, just like a balloon gets bigger, when it goes up higher. So the interesting thing, though, is because it's going faster, there's the seasons are different and the sunsets and sunrises are different. So if we lived on a ball Earth and you were at equal latitudes from the North and from the South Pole, the sunrise and sunset on June 21st versus December 21st should be the same, right? If you're the same degrees off. But sunrise and sunset here, it's twilight for like 90 minutes. And in the outer southern hemiplane, it goes from light to dark in minutes. My sister, I literally just picked her up from the airport today. She was down in Johannesburg, and she doesn't know anything about the flat Earth. And I was asking her, I was like, how far along the horizon could you see? I said, did you watch the sunset? And they told me the story that they were on a safari. And the guide was saying, we're going to use the spotlight to see the so-and-so animal. And they're thinking, why are we going to be using the spotlight? It's still plenty light outside. 5 minutes later, it was dark. So how can that happen on a ball Earth? Impossible. It's impossible on a ball Earth. At the equal latitudes in the northern hemiplane, there's animals and plants, hundreds and thousands of different species. At the same latitude in the southern, there's far less or none. So people, talk about, if the Earth is flat, you'll fall off the edge. And then the flat earthers will say, well, there's an ice wall. And there's pictures of the ice wall.
Oh, there is an ice wall. on the planet.
Yeah,
there is.
but there might be an ice shore also. There might be parts that don't have a wall. It might be a gradual. It's just like a lake with islands in it. The lake has islands in it. You can circumnavigate all those islands on your boat, but the shoreline of the lake is holding all the water in, and that's Antarctica. If you head in any direction, straight line, you'll end up going south.
See, even because I'm relatively awake, okay, so even with me, the normalcy bias, it kicks in and says, you got to be joking.
Yeah, you know what? It sounds like a joke, but when you start looking at the evidence, it's unbelievable. So they flew. You got this ball here. So they flew from here down to there, and they're upside down now. Or did they just fly like this? Airplane, So wait, how about this? With the curve of a 24,000-mile ball at flying at 550 miles an hour. You would have to nose down the plane a mile every 2 minutes.
You would.
Otherwise, you fly off into space. So do you feel like a plane is nosing down a mile every 2 minutes?
No, I don't. But then a pilot would say something like, we don't need to do that because of gravity. Right?
Gravity.
Because we're moving with the atmosphere, right? That's kind of the argument. But I've got a friend, and I'll link to my mate, Matrix Decode, who has done a flat Earth test where he's looked at the camera shots across the water.
The salt flats.
That's right.
In Bolivia, I think they are. There's a funny thing that happens with the horizon on a geographically flat place, or the flat Earth, where the way we see, there's a convergence point. We've all seen the sunset below the horizon. How can that happen on a flat Earth? So I actually am uploading a newer version of a video called "How the Sun Sets on a Flat Earth," and what it is the sun never sets below the horizon. It always sets behind a atmospheric cloud horizon, if not some landmass that's sticking above the flat Earth, mountain or whatever. So when you look at a cloud, the clouds going in the distance, they get lower and lower and lower and lower, to the point where they're indistinguishable from the ground, from the land.
Yeah.
Unless you had a super powerful telescope, you can zoom back in between them, but it literally becomes the same point. So I'm watching the sunset, and the sun is going down, 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 and it disappears behind the horizon, just like that. Okay? And that's what it looks like to me. But in reality, the sun is going in a straight line, and it just looks like it's going down. If I'm looking at a cloud way in the distance, I'm looking at it straight ahead, almost eye level, okay? But imagine you're standing under that cloud. Right? You draw a line from my eyes to that cloud straight ahead. It's almost parallel with the ground, right?
Yeah.
But imagine you're standing underneath that cloud. That cloud's 30,000 feet in the air. And look at that line. That line's coming from 30,000 feet in the air back to my eyes, but I see it as level. There's incredible deception with the way that we see.
There is, and the deception is very, very deep. And there's some really good guys looking at this particular topic. I've spoken to Mark Sargent a number of times. He seems like a really good lad and is very clued up. But then there's another guy, I forget his name. Who's the big guy? Who is going out slagging everyone off? I can't remember his name. Do you know who I'm talking about?
You know what? Yeah, I do, but I'm not going to say his name either. Okay. Because he unfortunately he's gone off the deep end, and he's really he has some great videos. Hopefully you come across them, but unfortunately he's put out some ridiculous stuff that any new flat earther looking for it will come across his videos, and they'll just turn away and be like, all right, these are a bunch of tinfoil hat wearing cross-dressers.
but that leads us to this topic of shills, okay? Because I know when you and I spoke at one point, Alex Jones is the big conspiracy name out in the US, and actually does deliver quite a lot of very good information to a
He was
growing
partly
population.
responsible for waking me up, right?
However, he is rumored to be supported by the CIA.
So there's so many ways to look at Alex Jones. Let's say he's a complete shill and he puts out 90% truth just to get you to believe the 10% garbage. Well, that 90% truth is going to wake up a lot of people, and then they can break away. So you can look at it, that's a positive. Or perhaps he's really out there and they've come to him and said, listen, you're too big for us to kill. If you touch these subjects, 1, 2, 3, and 4, bad things are gonna happen. We're gonna let you keep doing your thing. And he's made a decision. You know what? I'm doing better good being here, and ignoring these things. So what I say is, there's people that are assholes out there, but have some great information. Take the good, leave the bad. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, right?
That's right. We got a saying in the rooms, take what you want and leave the rest, and I think that's very wise. But someone like Sophia, she thinks everyone's a shill, right? Especially,
I don't think anyone's a shill, to the point where, because I've been called a shill so many times. I think there's really people that are just low intelligence that are out there trolling for attention. I think that there's people that are so there's probably some unknowing shills where people are mind controlled. It's so easy to get like a lone truther, hit him with some scopolamine, give them a suggestion saying, these things, and you're just going to go out and, your favorite thing to do is attack flat earthers, and you can turn people into mind controlled, zombies that are out there trolling. I can name a few, but I'd rather just ignore them, and because the truth prevails, the light, it always beats the dark.
Well, let's hope so, because it's getting pretty dark out there, and we are running up to one of the most important elections the Americans have ever seen. And I say that with tongue in cheek, because someone like Crow77 will say, there's never been an election that hasn't been anything other than this election. Okay, but what's your opinion on Trump?
So, is Trump a guy that was just put in there to mix it up, and he's gone rogue, and because he's winning in his ego, is he really independent, or is he just a trump card, to mix things up? I don't know the answer to that. Is he better than anybody else? Well, better is maybe not be the best word. He's going to mess up the system, so that's good.
I agree. Anyone who says they're going to audit the Fed has my card. Whether he does audit the Fed would be another thing altogether. But the Fed needs auditing.
There's no way. You can't audit the Fed. I mean, that's like, it's complete garbage. It's all garbage. Presidents are selected, not elected. If he got in, he would either be killed or controlled very quickly.
That's right. Yeah, auditing the Fed, you've got more chance of getting inside the Vatican Library.
I also think that right now they are putting out all sorts of information, like the Panama Papers, which is already known. We know corporations don't pay taxes, and
exactly
that. They're just putting it out because they want us to rise up, because they cannot do martial law until we beg for it. Mm-hmm. So they need riots in the streets. So the uninformed go, come, search my house, bring me food, whatever. We have to beg for it. Like I always said, they wanted to attack, Iraq and Afghanistan, and why don't they just do it? What do they got the keys to the guns and whatnot, but they need us to pound the war drum. They need our approval.
They do. And
right after 9/11, where everyone was pounding the war drum and waving the flags like zombies, and then they could do it. If we, so in the awakening process, people say, well, what can I do? I'm just going to go along with the system because there's nothing I can do. And that's untrue, because once you're aware of the deception, you're no longer feeding it, and you're waking up other people with your higher vibration. And once people are aware, they have no control. all of their statutes, which they call laws, are useless.
Yeah, it's garbage. The laws
Garbage.
itself, the laws that have been created, there's the law of the land, the law of the sea, and the straw man theory. But we're not going to go into that tonight, I don't think, or, I don't think we are. Go on.
Let me touch another flat Earth proof I'm working on. The moon, whatever the measurement of the moon is, and the distance, 138,000 miles away.
It's not possible.
It's not possible to see it at a third of that distance.
That's
it
right.
would be invisible.
That's
it
right.
would disappear. Mm-hmm. So I'm getting somebody with AutoCAD to show us that effectively, but you couldn't see it. Mm-hmm. Even if you look at Google Earth, go out as far as it is, and how small the moon would look, and then double that distance, it's gone.
That's right.
It's impossible to see.
There's a YouTube channel called CD, that's CEEDEE, and he has a cam on the moon 24/7, basically, filming it, and there's some very odd things going on up there. And what do you think the moon is?
The moon is a diode, and the sun is an anode. It's an electrical system that is very important in our lives and how we exist here. Don't know what it is. It's not a place you can go. The fact that I can take my Zoom camera and zoom in and see fine details on it tells me that it's not 138,000 miles away. I wouldn't be able to do anything. I don't think the moon is 100 miles away. Maybe 200, somewhere between 100 and 1,000. I think it's closer to the lower.
So is it inside the dome or outside the dome?
I think it's in the firmament.
I don't know what the firmament is.
And the firmament, imagine a layer of water, which is the dome, okay? Imagine that layer of, it's up there. It's an energetic layer holding water in, or a different state of water. It's in there. And the reason I say it's in there is because it doesn't look like it's not in there, and the Bible says it's in there.
Well, on the topic of the Bible, and I know that you're going to wrap up quite soon, but have you come across a guy called Bo Polney?
Who is it?
Bo Polney. Have you ever come across him? No. Bo, he works in cycles for the financial world, and he believes that he's worked out when the rise and the fall of the stock market will come and go based on the cycles dictated by the Bible.
And is that this year?
That's this year, man. Yeah, that's this year.
It's this year, yeah.
Yeah.
I seriously doubt we're going to have an election. I mean, I don't know what the heck is going to happen. But the thing is, you can't live in fear. Getting back to the flat Earth, everyone out there, every single question that is trying to jump out of your mouth right now is answered on my website. Deep inside the rabbit hole, there's flat Earth FAQs and then a bunch of flat Earth videos. Watch all of those, and you too will be a crazy tinfoil hat wearing flat earther.
Or not, if the case may not be, but I tell you what,
will.
Yeah, that's right. Because the further you go down, it's kind of more fun, isn't it? It just gets more fun.
You know what? Believing in the ball Earth is like believing in that Shanksville story on 9/11. It's believing in complete lunacy. Think about this. You got the sun. Why does the Earth go around the sun? Because the sun's massive gravity is holding onto the Earth, right? Mm-hmm. Yes, that's the story.
Right. That's the story.
Okay. So now we have the moon, which is much closer to the Earth, but the Earth's gravity's locked the moon in. Okay. Mm-hmm. Right? And so the moon is going around the Earth. And how come it doesn't speed up when it heads towards the sun and slow down when it pulls away? You know what the answer is? Because the sun's gravity doesn't affect the moon. I mean, how stupid is that?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's weird. But if you write that down on a test paper at school, they give you an A.
I encourage young teenagers. My girlfriend has a high school daughter to on science and history to ask enough questions to get a failing grade, and I'll take her friends out for a pizza dinner.
That's the way. Oh, brilliant, David. Thanks very
And
much.
if you
Man.
get sent to the principal's office, I'll buy you a 30-pack of beers for your party. Even though you're underage.
Yeah, great. That's wonderful. So, listen, just one more time. How can people reach out to you? Are you up for emails or conversations with the general public? What's the score, Gig?
Before you ask questions, I say look at the information that I posted because I get a lot of emails and I can't answer them all. So deepinsidetherabbithole.com, there's a contact form there. If you have a real question, keep it short. And I'll try to get to it as fast as I can. But I guarantee you, 99% of the questions asked, I'm just going to send you back to the page that has the answer on it. So look on my website. The frequently asked questions will, once you get through that page for the flat earth, the other ones are answered there. Right now there's 6 million flat earth videos on YouTube, and a lot of them are crap. So sorting them out is difficult. It takes a lot of time. And what I've done is I've sorted them out for you. I've put, some of the best videos that answer the questions that everybody's asking there. And before you foo-foo it, which I did before I looked into it, look into it. Take the time. Turn off the TV and watch a couple videos each night. There's a guy out there called ODD Space TV. He's phenomenal. He makes music also. He actually wrote a song about Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. It's great.
Is that the rap? Is that the rap?
Yeah,
one?
the rap.
That's great.
Isn't that great?
Really good track. Yeah. What's his YouTube again?
ODD Space TV.
Love it.
And he does some like 30-minute videos on the flat earth and stuff. He's really, really good, entertaining to say the least.
He's got great tunes. I really like the music. Really like it.
Yeah. And check out my YouTube channel, which is DITRH, stands for Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. I got lots of what I do is I do a lot of short videos to wake people up. There's links on my website to, if you see a really good video, just open up the YouTube page, click the YouTube on the bottom of that video, and then subscribe to that YouTuber. There's a guy called My Perspective who does stuff in 3D models that shows you the impossibility of the spinning ball Earth. One other thing, though, the ball Earth, the Earth is tilted at 36.4 degrees or
Correct,
whatever.
something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and the inverse of that on 90 degrees is?
Don't know, tell me.
66.6.
Oh, man, of course it is. 66.6.
Yeah, and then the Earth is traveling. The Earth is traveling how fast around the sun?
Around about 10,000 kilometers an hour, something like that.
666,000 miles an hour.
Wow, God.
And there's more of these things. It's all sixes. It's all complete hogwash.
Because the numbers are incredibly important. That
Very
witch
important.
from the IMF, I forget her name as well. She got up and did this whole speech in front of the world's press about the number 7. I'll put a link to it here. I'll drop her into this particular video. What's her name? I can't remember. Michelle Legand or something like that. I can't remember. Anyway, numbers are just so significant. We have no idea how significant they are. Go on.
I used to think, astrology is such a joke. People that believe that, they're so stupid. Astronomy is the real science. And the opposite's the truth. But in the ball universe, where we're just an insignificant speck in an ever-expanding, trillions and trillions of light years and planets and stars, how could the position of a planet or a star affect you? And the truth is, they're very close, and they're not planets. Everything we see in the sky is just a light in the sky. So, planets that were called wandering stars, they're all close. They all matter where they are, what they're doing. They all affect us. They're literally, I call them the projector of the hologram that we live in.
Herschel 36, I'm working on a brand new album. The best is yet to come. It's political electro punk. Click here, like and share. We got there at the end. If you've made it through this far, then you're probably quite fried, because I've spoken to David before and I feel fried because of the information. My head is just saying, no, it can't be true. But you know what? It might just be true, right? It could well be true.
Check out on my YouTube page the playlist NASA Hoax. NASA is a hoax. Nobody's been into space. There is no space station. It's just another light in the sky that travels around, and they tell us it's the space station. There are no satellites. There may be some balloons or something up there, but there's not these things that were launched into space. There is no space, as we've been told. That's all complete lies. There's so many videos proving it, and especially the SpaceX landing. If you haven't seen that, it's ridiculous. They landed this thing upright, on a raft in 30 knots of wind. It's complete and utter garbage. Check out my Facebook page, Ball Earth Skeptic. Just subscribe to that, Ball Earth Skeptic, and then watch. I post one or two videos there a day, and just watch them. Let them show up into your feed. Watch them with an open mind, because a closed mind will get you nowhere.
Brilliant, mate. Yeah, you're right. No one's been to the moon. It's absolute balderdash. If anyone wants any proof on that, I would suggest just watching Astronauts Gone Wild, where an interviewer asked the astronauts to swear on the Bible that they went to the moon, and every single one of them gets really narky with him.
That was
funny.
Bart Sibrel. One of them, I believe, did do it, but words are words. They didn't go to the moon. Watch the press conference of the first three guys when they got back from the moon. They literally looked miserable.
They didn't go. That's right. And they've been living with that life themselves.
When a capsule lands and they get out of the capsule, in the desert or wherever they are, they have to wrap blankets around them in their spacesuits. Okay, these are guys that are out in the space that it's like 400 degrees, and then it's 200 below zero, and they're in their spacesuits and they're fine. But when they get home, they have to put blankets around them.
That's right. And if you think, go on.
They're laughing at us. They're laughing hysterically. They're pounding their knees. They're like, "Look what they believe now!" And they're slapping their knees. It's embarrassing.
It is embarrassing, yeah. And if you think they can't fake moon landings, well, think again, because they're also faking the terrorist attacks in Brussels. There was no terrorist attack in Brussels. That was staged by the same people, by the same governments, in my humble opinion. I don't think ISIS is a bunch of Muslims running around chopping off people's heads. I personally think it's a bunch of mainly European mercenaries who are trained by the CIA.
I'll take it one farther. The ISIS is just a small group of CIA operatives.
That's right.
And a bunch of Hollywood actors.
That's right. And some nice red cameras and some lights, action. Off we go. Chop head scene. Well done, lads. Have a tea break. Go and have a little drive it in your Toyota sponsored truck. Amazing how they get the corporations in. Toyota, Starbucks, Nike. They're always in. And also there's one guy, I forget his name, but he's Mark Darwin or something, but he has been involved in the Boston bombing, Brussels and Paris. He was blown up in all three explosions. That is incredibly unlucky.
It's complete hogwash. But see, the reason they do that is this. People are so easily, you know what? That's never going to happen to me. That happened over in Brussels. I'm in America. I don't even know where Brussels is. It's not going to happen. But wait a minute. It happened to this guy 3 times in 3 different countries. It could happen to me.
That's right.
And that 99.9% of the population is not afraid of what happened in Brussels, and then they hear that story, and a vast majority of them will get a little of internal, subconscious, if not conscious, fear put into them. And that's what they want, because when you're in fear, you're willing to give up your rights and are willing to agree to stuff that you would never agree to. And if you don't agree to stuff, it's not going to happen. But if you don't say no, if it's presented to you and you don't say no, you're saying yes.
That's right. And it's more than that. It's the frequency that we work on. So if we resonate at a frequency of, say, joy or love or happiness, then we're able to do so much more. But if our frequency is down at fear, anger, resentment, then our ability to engage with life is so much less and we're so much easier to control. It's absolutely fascinating. What is unseen in the subconscious is exactly where we start and die from, and that's where they come from, whoever they may be.
So I have a little piece of news for you, and you're going to have to think fast. I just got a note from one of my terrorist friends. They have your daughter, and if you don't answer this question right in 5 seconds, she's done. Is the Earth a ball or is it flat?
It's flat,
5.
dude.
There you go. All right, she's been released.
All right, Dave, thanks very much for your time. Just remind people how they can get into your crazy world of reality.
Yeah, please subscribe if you're on the CIA-driven Facebook. Wait, before I go there, people are like, you're awake and you're using Facebook. Guess what? If you're not on a list, you should be ashamed of yourself if you're not on the list.
That's right. You and I are doomed, my friend. You and I are doomed.
Yeah. So my Facebook page is Exposing the Big Three. Just that's 9/11 Sandy Hook in Boston. There's so much stuff there. Ball Earth Skeptic for all stuff Ball Earth. You can check out Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole Facebook page, and you can also just go to deepinsidetherabbithole.com. The links are there on the front page. A great book by, who Ty Bollinger is?
Never heard of him.
Ty Bollinger, he wrote a book called Monumental Myths of the Modern Medical Mafia and the Mainstream Media and the Lying Liars That Lie About Them. That's the name of the book.
Love it. Gotta read it.
It's got like 30 small chapters in it. It's a nice thick book. And it's got Sandy Hook, 9/11, Boston, Pat Tillman, Gaddafi. It's got everything in there. It's like a coffee table book. And you leave that out on your coffee table. Someone looks at it, picks it up and reads a chapter. And, chapters like, 5-10 pages. And it's the best awakening tool ever. You can buy it it's on the bottom of the front page of deepinsidetherabbithole.com. It's literally, I gave them out for Christmas one year. I bought 100 of them and I just gave them to everybody. And guess what? It had a huge effect.
Wow.
Huge effect. Yeah. So it's a great tool. It's good for yourself. It's fun it's just fun to rather than come out to someone and go, the Earth is flat, or 9/11 was fake, you're going to get a horrible reaction. You go, check this chapter out, read this. That's all you say. Just, what do you think about this? And they're hooked. They're hooked.
Brilliant. I'll put a link to that book in the summary on my YouTube account and links to your various sites.
And one thing we didn't get into is cancer. Ty Bollinger did the Quest for the Cure. I don't know when this is airing, but starting tonight on April 12th, his 9-part documentary series is free, one each night for the next 9 nights.
Oh, wow.
And it's called The Quest for the Cure. I'll give you a link to it if you can post that. When are you posting this?
I'm going to edit now, and hopefully it'll be. My only issue with being in Spain is the internet, which is it takes me 24 hours to upload something into YouTube.
It's the Quest for the Cure. It's an amazing. He travels across the flat plain, interviewing all different doctors, the natural doctors that basically have left the medical community, and shows that there's cures for every kind of cancer out there.
That's right. And very sadly, both my parents in 1999 died of cancer. And I swear to you, the doctors turned around and said, "We believe it was in the food." Now, in 1999, I was 25 years of age, so I didn't really know what they meant. But clearly, it's very clear now what they meant. It's in the food.
Right.
Great, David. Thank you very much for your time. I'm hoping that we can do this again sometime in the next few months, and just have a general catch up and find out what's going on in the States, because this has been very informative for the European audience. Cheers, mate.